Hello everyone and welcome back to another video. In this video, I'm going to be going through a complete beginner's guide on how to use a HP Deskjet printer. Now in this specific video, I'm going to be talking about the HP Deskjet 2810E. Now however, this should pretty much apply to any other HP printer labeled as a Deskjet, and I know for a fact it will apply to any HP Deskjet 2600 series, 2700, and like I'm using the 2800 series. So I'm going to go through the setup on both computer and phone, and I'm also going to go through pretty much everything you need to know about how this printer, what the buttons do, how to clear any jams, and yeah, pretty much how to do everything on this. So first things first, one thing I do want to say is that your printer will come with this, a reference guide. Now, this reference guide is very useful. A lot of the things we're going to talk about are going to be directly from this reference guide. So if you have this in the box, I recommend keeping this handy. A lot of the other guides, there's so many pieces of paper that come in the box. This is probably the most useful one. So let's get into first things first, what the buttons on the left do. So first and most obviously, we have the power button. Now, this is essentially, as predicted, it's going to be used to turn the printer both on and off. My one isn't plugged in right now. Let me get that plugged in. Now, if your printer is now plugged in like mine is, you'll see that the on and off light / button is flashing. This is probably the most basic button there, very self-explanatory. When the light's on, it's on. When the light's off, it's off. If it's flashing, you may be in a setup mode, and we'll go through that in a little bit. Now, the rest of these buttons, at the top you have an X button. Now, this is the cancel button, and this will stop any current operation. And this can go for anything. So let's say you have a print job spooling through the printer, and you've realized an error or something. You can just click cancel, and what it will do is it will cancel mid-print. So let's say a page is halfway through printing and hasn't fully come out yet. Be careful, because this will literally just completely stop any printing. The inkjet will just go to the side, and nothing will come. Well, the page will come out with whatever was printed on beforehand. So that is the cancellation button. Now over here is the resume button. Now if this is lit, that means that you can press it, and by pressing this you can resume any current operation that might be paused. So an example of that is, let's say you run out of paper. If you run out of paper, the light on the left will start flashing orange. If that starts flashing orange, your print jobs will pause until you load paper in the back of the tray. So once you load paper, or in any kind of similar scenario whereby the current operations such as printing, copying, or scanning is paused, you can literally just click this button over here, the resume button, and that will continue your print job. So that's that. Now, the next button we're going to talk about is the wireless button, which is just below there. This indicates wireless connection status. When there's a solid blue light going, it means the connection is active. And when it blinks, it means the connection is inactive or the printer is in setup mode. Now, for the purposes of this video, I have my printer in setup mode. And yeah, so if you see this blinking, it means that you won't be able to send jobs to this through the app or over Wi-Fi because it's just not set up and not working. And we'll go through how to fix that. I also have tutorials on this channel on how to set up Wi-Fi on a HP Deskjet printer. So the next couple buttons, or next three buttons we're going to mention, is the information button. That's over here, very clearly indicated with an I. Now the information button is simple. If you press this, it will print a summary of the printer settings and status. This is quite important. Let's say you're having issues connecting to Wi-Fi, or maybe your ink levels are low, or just something's going wrong. You should be able to press this information button and get a little bit more of an insight as to what's happening, because sometimes you can't get all the information from the app. So I find this quite useful if I ever come across any issues. Now the final two buttons are simple. The colored one over here is the color copy button, and this one is the black and white copy button. So let's say you would like to copy a piece of paper, you'd put it in here, face down, and if you want to copy it in color, you would literally just press this button, the color copy button. And if you want to copy it in black and white, you would press the button at the bottom. So that is relatively simple. I kind of like how they keep it quite simple with the buttons down here. You don't really need anything else. So as you can see here, this is the display. Now I can show you the display, but it's a bit dark on video, so I think it would be a little bit better to just show you directly from the manual. So this is how HP want you to know how things work. So you can see on the left there, if there's a problem, you'll see an exclamation mark, and it should give a little indication as to what the problem is. So if there's an exclamation mark and a piece of paper, it's a paper problem. Maybe you need to load paper, or you need to check for jams. If there's a Wi-Fi signal but with a little exclamation mark, that means that there is a wireless alert and the Wi-Fi is disconnected. So you may want to restart setup mode, which we will go through. You can see Wi-Fi direct status, and then most importantly, you can see estimated ink levels. Anywhere you go on HP, it's always going to say estimated ink levels, and this is really because it's quite hard to actually know exactly what the ink levels are, just because they're in these tiny cartridges. And right at the top, you'll be able to see the error code. Now, hopefully this doesn't come up for you, but if it does, I have a lot of videos showing you how to come across how to fix all of the errors. There's E2 error, E0, E1, E4. There's a lot of errors that can come up. But regardless, there are solutions for every single one of them. I'll actually go down here and you can have a look at some of the error codes. You have unusable cartridge. You may come across unusable cartridge if you're using non-HP cartridges. Now, I'm on your side if you're using non-HP cartridges. If you don't know already, printer companies make their money through the cartridges and not really the printers. So they charge a lot for them, and they know we have to buy them. So if you buy fake ones, well, not necessarily fake, but non-official HP ones, they might not work, and it's quite unfortunate. Yeah, so if you get the error code E0, it might be due to your cartridge. Error code E1, paper size mismatch. If there's a larger piece of paper required and you only have, say, A5 loaded, but your print job is A4, you will see the paper size mismatch. E2, center/paper length mismatch. Pretty self-explanatory. If you somehow have quite long paper that isn't expected, or your paper isn't loaded correctly, you may come across this E2 error. E3 is carriage stall, or carriage or cartridge. You can see the cartridges are kept on a carriage. I will show you that shortly. And if there's an issue with the carriage, you just might need to clear it. E4 is the one you'll probably see the most. It's about a paper jam. I will show you how to clear paper jams. And then you have E5, which is a scanner failure. E6, general printer error, which is usually fixed by just turning it on and off again, or sometimes even factory resetting it, which I have a video about. And then that over there is a printer busy. So you may, if you see this, do not turn the printer off, because it could really mess things up. So let's go into the next part of this. So there's a few basic things I want to cover about the outside of the printer. First things first. Now mine still has the plastic on it, but this is where you're going to be scanning your documents or copying your documents. Now, it's quite important to know that when you want to scan something, you're going to want the content to be face down, because it's obviously going to be scanned from the inside. So make sure your content is face down and pushed to the top left corner. This is the size of A4, but sometimes there can be a little gap. I always recommend pushing it to the top left corner. That's just how a lot of printers prefer to accept scanned documents or copied. The next part of the HP Deskjet that I want to go through is the front trays. Now, these might look a little bit different if you're not using a 2800E series, 2800 series in general, but they're all fundamentally the same. Mine's closed at the moment, so currently paper's feeding out here, but you can open this up, and this essentially acts as a tray for your paper as it's being printed, so it will basically just chill here once you've finished printing. Now, once you're inside, you may notice a cover inside of that. So if I pull this really lightly in front of me, this is where your ink goes in. Now, as you just saw, the printer very nicely presents you with your ink as you've opened it. Now, the chances are, if you're seeing this video, you may already have the ink inside, but if you don't, I just want to show you that when you get your ink, it is important to know that with most Deskjets, especially the 26, 7 and 800 series, they only accept two types of ink, and that is the 305 or 305 XL. 305XL is literally just a slightly bigger version of this. This is the tri-color. HP Deskjets only take two types of cartridge. You have the tri-color cartridge, and if I just pull this out now, this is your black cartridge. If these are too small and you find these are running out quickly, you can upgrade to the 305XL. Like I said, you can try non-HP official cartridges, but their security is getting much better. I'm seeing more and more people having issues using non-HP official ones, which is a shame, but I mean, I guess business is business. Now, once you get these, it's very important to know that the tricolor always goes on the left, so pink is on the left, black is on the right. That's just how it is. It's how the printer expects it to be. If you swap them around, it will come across errors. Your printing won't be right, and it probably won't even let you send a job. Now, to put them in, it's very simple. You just want to hold it like this, and it slides in quite nicely. And then I like to put my finger on here to get a little bit of leverage, and I just push it in until it clicks. So you'll see me do that now. Click, and then I'll do that on the pink one as well. Let me switch hands. You can see, click. And then that's that. Try be a little bit careful because this thing is a little bit flimsy, but it's a very important piece. You can see as well from the inscriptions that it tells you actually which ones to put in. So yeah. Now let's if I shut this, you can't hear it over the video, but you can hear that the ink slowly moves back to the left. And my printer is ready to print with that ink. Now I'm going to shut this for now, and we'll go on to paper loading. So something that I personally found quite confusing about this printer when I first got it. I remember thinking, where do I load the paper? Well, it's not very apparent or obvious, but actually, if you notice at the back here, there are some arrows. And what this is your paper tray. So if you pull it up and then kind of release it, it sits at a slight slanted angle. And you can see there's this little flap here, which I guess will adjust depending on how much paper you put inside. There's this little blue thing. This is a paper guide. So if you're loading, let's say A5 paper, which is significantly smaller than A4 or A6 paper. If you're American, I'm sorry, I don't know the measurements. But if you're loading smaller paper than the normal classic size, you definitely want to use this this paper adjuster. You're going to want this to be touching the side of the paper, and this will essentially guide it through the rest of the printer. Now, something to remember is that by default, this thing is actually set to the middle, and this catches a lot of people out. So when you get your printer, you're going to want to essentially push it all the way to the left, because it's very likely you're going to be using A4 paper. Now, once that is open and pushed to the left, all you have to do is get your batch of paper and slide it in. Now, you'll notice that there can be a little bit of resistance. You essentially want to, as you can see here, about 1/3 of the A4 page of paper is inside the printer, and it can't go any further. And this is the correct way to do it, really. And you can load way more paper if you really wanted to. So yeah, that's that for loading paper. So back to the printer itself. Now, when you first get this, one of the first things that you're going to really need to do is to get it set up on Wi-Fi. If you read the HP manual, they really suggest that you should get this set up on Wi-Fi first. Now, it's entirely optional. I guess you can do it with a USB cable, but they don't provide that anymore. So I recommend getting it set up with Wi-Fi. And to do that, the first step that you need to do is to hold the Wi-Fi button and the cancel button down all the way up until you see the power button begin to flash. Now, once that power button flashes and the Wi-Fi button is flashing as well, as mentioned earlier, you are now in setup mode. So once in setup mode, you have two options. You can set this up on a computer or a phone. I'm going to take you through the phone setup, but what I will say is the computer setup is genuinely entirely identical. The app looks the same, but it's just on computer. So you're going to need to download the HP Smart app. Now, when you download this app, they're going to ask you if you want to sign up for subscriptions, this and that. It's not needed. You can just skip and cancel all of that. You don't need to agree to all of their policies. You just need this app. So once you get the app open and your printer, the light is flashing and it's in pairing mode, you are going to want to click Add Setup or Add Printer. Now, depending on whether you've already somehow got it connected to the network, you are going to want to decide. Now, I'm going to set this up as a new printer, so I'm going to click this. So click New Printer. And as you can see, it's already shown up. Now, you might not be as lucky as I am, so you need to ensure a few things. You need to make sure Bluetooth is on your phone. You need to make sure setup mode is on the printer. Remember, hold those two buttons over there. And should that all be done, it should be good. You can click print not listed and it will search a bit more. But here I can see the printer shows up immediately. So I'll select this to set up my printer. Now, the next thing you're going to need to do so this is my Wi-Fi network name. The printer is basically going to use your phone to connect to the Wi-Fi, and then it will remember the password. So I'm going to put in my Wi-Fi password now, and then you guys should do the same. So I've just pasted my Wi-Fi password in. I'm going to click continue, and it's basically just going to process. Now, one of the first things it's going to ask you to do is press the information button. This is pretty much just so they can verify that it is you setting up your printer and not maybe some guy across the road in his car trying to hack you or something. So now that that's loading, it's going to just slowly spool, and the setup process should complete itself. So I will get back to you when that's done. So you're going to come across a lot of places where you're just going to have to keep clicking continue. Once you've got your printer connected to your Wi-Fi, you're going to now see a lot of menus coming up asking if you want to subscribe, or you have to agree to this and that. So you're gonna have to agree. I would personally click decline optional data, because there's no point sending them more personal data than you need. Remember, they're just going to use that to advertise to you, so there's no point. And it's going to keep loading. This setup, from beginning to end might take 5-10 minutes. You can see now it's introducing HP Plus, which is a premium option. Again, you don't need that. You don't need 24/7 printer security and whatnot. So I'm going to click Do Not Activate HP Plus, but you can. Look, they're unhappy, and I'm going to keep clicking Decline. They're asking again, so you have to keep clicking Continue. It wanted me to create an account. I'm going to skip that. Again, you don't need to pay for this stuff. Your printer will work without paying. And that is very important. You need to know that you can still use this without paying for the rubbish. Again, look, still trying to make me pay for stuff. I'm going to not enable ink delivery. Look, I'll try for 2 months. No, thank you. Skip. If you want these things, you can, but to be honest with you, I'd recommend against it. All you need to run your printer is just some ink. So when it runs out, buy more. You don't need a subscription for it. If you're a business, maybe you do. But yeah, so now, once I agree to everything, I told you there's a lot to agree, we should almost be through with the setup. Is there another thing to agree? No, there isn't. So you can, at this point, you can print a test page. I might print one. Let's see what happens. You can see immediately it's spooling out to print. This is quite useful because you can really check if your printer is actually working. And hopefully this will work for me. So as you can see, here comes my test page, nice and slowly out. You can see the colors working, and yeah. So here's my test page, looks good, colors look great, can't complain. Now, one of the things that you're going to be prompted after printing your test page, or even clicking skip print test page, is you're going to be prompted to print from other devices. So if you want to print from your laptop or any other devices, you can send a link directly to yourself, or you can just go on there and immediately download the HP Smart app. I'm going to click skip sending link. And here we go. So this is my printer. You can see there's an estimate of the supply levels, and you can see that I have original HP cartridges installed. And yeah, you can pretty much do everything from here. A lot of the maintenance stuff that you can do once you've got your printer connected over the network, you can do it through the app. And this is quite an important thing to remember, because these are some of the main functionalities you're going to need to use if you're ever coming across any issues with this printer. So we'll have a look. You've got alignment and maintenance. Let's say your prints are coming out kind of fuzzy, or there's lines on there, well, you can click Align Print Head, you can click Printer Quality Report, you can clean smear, you can clean print head. These are all things that just happen automatically. You just have to trigger them from this app. So yeah. Now, one of the things that I'm not really the biggest fan of that HP do is that to actually use most of these functionalities, such as printing documents or printing photos or mobile fax and printer scan or copy directly from the phone, you can copy from the device, you are going to need to create an account. So make sure you create an account, and then you'll be able to use these options. So let's say you click print photos, you'll immediately be able to browse your phone's photos, and you'll be able to send a print job, and then that will go through the network and print directly. The same goes for documents on your phone. If you have documents saved either in your camera roll or in, say, your iPhone or Android phone's files section, you'll be able to access that directly from here, and you can print. So yeah, that's pretty much everything from this tutorial. This is kind of a beginner's guide and overview as to how this printer works, what all the buttons do. And please check my channel. I have guides. I have so many guides about this specific printer, and they'll cover a lot of the Deskjets out there. So if you have any questions, leave them in the comments below. Thank you for watching.